probably one of the most interesting ideas in music, which is the idea of everything should have harmony. Everything should function with harmony. But what if we didn't want it to function with harmony? What if we wanted to introduce a little bit of trouble? This note and this note are only half a step away. If I play them together at the same time, they sound awful. Not great. But if we build a chord around the idea of using both, what we're doing is introducing this idea of dissonance, controlled lack of harmony, or controlled tension is often the word used to describe this. This is the idea of a seventh chord. A seventh chord, or a seventh triad, uses the major scale, but instead of completing it with an octave, in other words, going from the root to some note to the octave, we're going to go, instead of 8 notes up, 7 notes up. So for example, if we're in the key of C, the notes we play is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Great. But that's 8 notes. Let's only go up 7 notes. And now if I play that with the root, there's a controlled tension. This demands resolution, and for us as humans, people who experience music, it introduces new feelings, new ideas, new themes. That's great. We want that in our music. As long as it's controlled. We don't want so much tension that it starts to sound like just noise, and it starts to lose its musicality. Anything can be used to make music, but it's about how we control those variables that helps make something go from interesting to great. So the 7th interval is 7 notes up from the root note. Let's try a few 7th triad shapes. We have a C7 triad, which uses the major third and the 7th. So when you play them together, it sounds interesting. Sounds like we're entered someplace unknown. Instead of playing a C major chord, where we are sure and the note is resolved, it just feels complete on its own. If we play a 7th, now suddenly it feels like it needs help. Maybe if we resolved, then it would feel better. So we're introducing this idea of emotion and tension to tell a story through our music. Cool. That's a C7. We have a G7 triad, which is 3, 5, and then 4. Now imagine going from C7 to G7. How different is that than going from a C to a G? This feels like the most confident thing on earth. This doesn't, and that's fantastic. We've introduced purposeful dissonance. Let's try a D7, which is up here, 6, 7, 5, so like this. And then we'll try a D7th over an A. This is an inversion of a 7th chord. Cool. These kinds of interesting ideas are most often used in musical styles like jazz, gospel, or funk. When you play pop, when you play rock, you typically don't really use 7th chords because things move so fast. But in something like jazz or gospel or funk, where you might be sitting on a note for a long time, switching between a major and then a 7th and then back to a major is a really powerful thing, and you might see that kind of thing play out in something like like a 12-bar blues, where you have an A to a D to an E. So the 1, 4, 5, and now we turn them into like 7th chords. Just like that. Cool. Let's try an exercise that kind of uses major triads, minor triads, and those 7th triads. In fact, this one only uses 2 7th chords to play something a little bit more musical and melodic. So I'm going to read through the chords. It's G, A, C, D, E, B, C. It looks like A minor, D, and a C. It looks like we might be in the key of G. That would imply that there's an F sharp somewhere, buried in all those frets. Let's go through the 7th chord we start with is G7, which is up here. It's 10, 9, 11 to an A minor, which is here, to a C7. Easy enough. There's a 3, D, E minor, B minor, which is, and then a C. Okay, so let's try that a little bit quicker. Nice. It's really fun, and you can see how throwing in a 7th chord every now and then, finding the right one that fits, is really important. And understanding what makes it a 7th chord, that 7th interval. We're not playing an octave, we're playing one before the octave. Perfect.